Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Celebration Space. My name is Kaylee Phelps, and today we are talking about some more self-care. I typically try to do Mondays as organizing your headspace, so how you're feeling about things, what emotions you might have going on, what your stress level is, what your schedule looks like, how the technology in your life, not physical items, but how it's taking up your headspace. And I've been doing a little bit of a focus on self-care, and I'm creating a self-care assessment. So one of the things that I think is really important to organizing your headspace and to self-care is learning about your ever-evolving self. So part of that I spoke about Ayurveda and doshas and taking quizzes along the way to see where you might be out of balance within the five different, the five different doshas and elements that are happening within Ayurveda. And I wanted to talk about love languages and apology languages today because I think that these are things that are really important in how we don't only relate to ourselves, but relate to our partners, relate to our children, relate to other people in our lives, and they're also things that change. So if you've taken the love languages quiz before, please take it again, check in with yourself. I also have the 5 love languages book. All of this information is not original. It's not me coming up with it. This is by Gary Chapman, who I've taken notes. He's an author, radio host, and Baptist pastor. I knew that a lot of his work was centered in Christian values. I did not know that he was a pastor, which is pretty awesome. And so he published the 5 love languages, this book right here in 1992, which actually is the year that I was born. So this is a really popular book. He's sold over 11 million copies in just English alone, and then it's been translated into 49 languages. So if you've never heard of this, I put something in the comments below where it's the5lovelanguages.com, and you're actually going to go to that and go to the quiz section. The quiz section is going to show you 3 different areas, and that's going to be love, apology, and anger. So I would have put it in the description of this video had I known that there was actually a book on anger as well. So that tells you that it's been a minute since I've looked at the website and I have dug deep into this. But the other books and kind of topics that I want to talk about are the apology languages and the anger. The next book that Gary Chapman wrote on these subjects is The 5 Languages of Apology, which is really awesome. It was published in, let me check my notes, 2006, and then Anger, Taming a Powerful Emotion was published in 2007 or 2008. I saw some conflicting reviews there, but that's something that I think I want to dive deep into each different language, talk a little bit about my experience, and talk about why it's important to me that I think we do this. And hopefully my self-care assessment is coming out later this week, and I hope that you will use that just to explore a little bit more about yourself. So 5 love languages, this is the one that you've probably heard of. It's the one that's been around the longest. It's the one that made Gary Chapman famous, but it's words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So if you take the test or the quiz online, it's going to tell you basically what your ranking is. So for me, it's quality time, words of affirmation, and acts of service. But acts of service wasn't one of my love languages when I was living alone. So I think that's important to talk about, is that sometimes your love languages shift, and I'm sure they really shift depending on where you're at in your life. So whether you're living with your partner, whether you're living with your children, whether you just had children, whether you have a really demanding job at the time, maybe your quality time goes low, or maybe it goes higher because you really want to have quality time with your partner. So I think that really checking in on that, gift giving is really far on my list. It's at the bottom, and for me, that's because mostly I love organization. I usually live in smaller spaces, so physical items are not something that connects with me as much as having experiences, going to concerts, painting together, doing different things together, which is something that obviously is not happening as much during the global health crisis, but I would rather do something quality time, spending money on ordering food in than having a physical item. So, and acts of service, I'll just touch a little bit on what each of them mean. Words of affirmation, giving compliments, saying I love you, doing really verbalizing your emotions to that person. Quality time, spending time where you are not distracted with your loved ones. So putting the phone down, spending really great time. Maybe for some people, quality time looks like sitting down and watching a show or a movie together. Maybe for some people, it's sitting down playing a board game, no electronics, nothing. Talk to your partner about what it means to them. Receiving gifts, I think that one is pretty typical. Receiving flowers, receiving items, maybe a just because gift outside of the holidays. And then acts of service, this is a big one for me, taking out the trash, doing dishes, keeping your space together, or just getting gas for someone, running groceries, doing something like that where it's going to take something off of someone's plate. And then physical touch, being really touchy-feely, maybe hugs, kisses are a way of showing emotion, and then also, being intimate in other ways. But I think those are the main 5 love languages. Finding out what's important to you and what's important to your partner and what's important to your kids. Do your kids want to be hugged more? Is physical touch not your love language, but maybe it's your child. So finding out from what I remember with doing the quiz, none of it's inappropriate. So you can do it with your children, you can do it with your spouse, you can do it with your parents, anyone who you're living with, especially during this quarantine time where we're at home more often. I think it's especially important to know yourself a little bit better and know the people that you're living with a little bit better. So moving on to the 5 languages of apology. There's also a quiz on this. I have taken this quiz. And those 5 languages, and I'm gonna just read a line that's a quote that's going to summarize what that apology language is. And this is what you wanna hear. So all of this is how you want to receive love, you want to receive apologies, and then the anger is how I think you express anger. So typically they say that how you like to receive love or apologies is typically how you express it, just because that's what's most important to your brain, but it could be a little bit different. So it's most important just to get on the same page with your loved ones in your life. So apology languages, I also want to note this was written with Jennifer M. Thomas. Expressing regret, so saying, I'm sorry that I hurt you. Accepting responsibility, saying I messed up or, I was wrong and not justifying or excusing it. Genuinely repenting, I will do X next time. So really focusing in on that next step or the future of if the same situation happens. Making restitution, so I really didn't mean that. I wasn't trying to hurt you, confirming that you love your partner, and then doing something in their love language. So I'm really sorry that I did that. I didn't mean to hurt you. Can I give you a hug? That's an example of that. Then request forgiveness. Could you apologize for that, please? So this is beyond demanding an apology and more requesting it, giving the opportunity for someone to that's not demanding it, so that it's more genuine in the eyes of the receiver. So that's what that looks like for both Tyler and I. It is accepting responsibility, our apology languages. I think both of us are going to retake all 3 of these quizzes just to check in with where we're at now, but as of right now, that's where we're at. And then the anger, which I did not know about until this morning. So I was just doing a little bit of last minute research. I had written down things based on my experience and what I remembered. And I saw that and I was like, ooh, that's exciting. So anger, taming of a powerful emotion. There are 5 different anger languages, and I'm just gonna read them off all 5 of them. So righteous, which means I'm right, you're wrong. Indignation, so saying, how could you do this to me? Retribution, you're gonna pay for doing that. Distraction, but what about like when you did this, or when this happened, or what about when so-and-so did that to so-and-so? And then justification, you had it coming based on what all has been brewing or coming up to this point. So those are the 5 love languages, the 5 apology languages, and the 5 anger languages, or the book. I was kind of sad we didn't stick to a theme of, we have the 5 love languages, the 5 languages of apology, and then anger, taming a powerful emotion. But those are all of the different ways that these coincide with each other. Again, I find it really important to understand yourself a little bit better. So I'm going to be focusing on this topic, especially as I'm putting together the self-care assessment, which I'm hoping will be out later this week. And I already linked it's 5lovelanguages.com. So number 5, lovelanguages.com, quiz tab, take the 3 quizzes. You don't have to, all 3 of these are books, but you don't have to read the whole book to get a lot out of it. So that's what I have for y'all today. I hope that you take the quizzes, if not today, sometime this week. Learn a little bit more about yourself. Maybe share it with a loved one that you live with, or maybe you've had that you just want to connect with a little bit more. It's something fun just to find out from your friends how people are different and what their priorities are. So I hope that you'll take this resource that Gary Chapman has provided all of us, that has been really wonderful in my life, and I hope that it is helpful in yours as well. So until next time, enjoy celebrating today.